simpler on us, just so we can kind of focus in on what the AI agent is capable of doing and how you guys can kind of get your feet wet per se on how to go about that. So let
I mean, I
me.
have a use case I've been trying to build out related to. I had put a question on data sphere and if anybody's has been able to make use of it just yet. But that's sort of where I got an idea that's brewing. You know.
Uh-huh. So I know that Len had something that is it's just about there.
Hey,
So I don't know if we're ready to show that one quite
that's
yet.
fine.
I can tease some of the APIs that are available and um, how that would kind of go about and kind of what DataSphere will do for us.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jason's ahead of the game here,
Sorry,
and
I'm an
that's a
overachiever.
okay. Just about last week or about 2 weeks ago, we began launching DataSphere. So it's going to be a way to incorporate data information, that you would be able to use to make these AI agents a, a bit more robust. Give them more
Come on.
knowledge that is more focused in on what it is that you want to have. For instance, a a DMV has a 200-page document on all of the different types of IDs that you could get, and all the different uses for them and all the processes to go through all of that. But you don't really want to give a language model 200 pages of stuff to have to think over and over again. Or if you are asking it a question about the book Alice in Wonderland, and you say, who's the first character that Alice is talking to? We don't want the language model to have to read the entire book. I know it's not Alice in Wonderland, but I'm not a reader, so I don't know the actual name of it. Something with the looking glass, but anywho, you can kind of understand how there's a few more methods and how it's really, you know, one of the biggest, I wouldn't say problems, but challenges with AI, and how so many different companies are kind of going about it in different ways, because we want to give it all the information in the world, obviously, but we also want it to talk back to us in milliseconds. So it's kind of bouncing between those two lines that we have there. But given the hot topic of elections in the U.S., for any of us that are U.S. people, and maybe for other parts of the world, I don't know. We have a survey bot. So our bot, we will call in. It'll ask us questions. It's able to, not have such a structured conversation. Where it just asks the question and then get a response back. But you can feel a little bit more comfortable about the person that you're talking to, or we say person, but really just one of these agents, so that you can have just holistically a better conversation with it. As we talk to different companies and we listen to IVRs, and we can hear how painful some of those are, where it's just like monotonous, robotic. We'll show off some of the ways that here at SignalWire we can give it a more comfy, cozy feeling, because we spend so much time on our phones, and staring at computers too. So this example is pretty vastly built out. I'm really going to focus in on just the AI portion of it, but it does have a capability of having a SQL database that you can store, stash questions, front end that you can see some of the responses back and forth. But what I think is really important is just how we go about, and like the mindset that we should be having when creating some of these agents, because it's basically an art form, is kind of the way that I can best describe it. As you guys have all messed with GPT, it's all about the way that you approach the question, and a lot of times they're more right than you think that they are, and you're like, man, that's not what I thought. But when you kind of read what you wrote in English, or if you guys have ever read support tickets or anything before, what one person writes is not always what the person on the other end is going to perceive it as. So we kind of just have prompt engineering as I guess the way that I look at it as an art form. So I'll be sending this out with just like the closing materials that will give to you all. But this is the election cycle pollster that we have. So has a Docker image. This is the nice little front end. I'll tell Shane how great of a job he did with that. Yeah, exactly. But what I was going to look at is actually on this guide. So when creating our prompts, what is really important is just how, as I was kind of mentioning, we tell it what it is that we want them to do. Here. I was looking at a bunch of different ones of these. I'll pull up the GitHub. There we go. Like it was on one of these tabs. So I'm just gonna kind of quick and dirty do a copy pasta over here, and then bring us over to the SignalWire dashboard. So what you guys are looking at is a server that is returning SWML. If you're familiar with SWML, it's a SignalWire markup language. And if you guys have been around with us for a little bit of time, you have maybe seen LAML or the compatibility API, but a lot of it are just function executions that we can kind of narrow and fine tune with different parameters that we have, and then just giving exigence to that. So I'm not going to go too much into SWML just because we have fantastic UIs available that can help kind of guide this a little bit better. There we go. Cool. So if we are on our SignalWire dashboard, you guys are going to land somewhere over here on your homepage. And on the left side, we have AI agents. So the AI agents have a couple different ways that we can build them. As I mentioned, we can write it in SWML. We can, really narrow down and kind of give you the Lego pieces and whatever it is that you need in order to make the call flow valuable to you. And a lot of it is just depending on the development resources that you have available. Not everyone likes to program or code. Some people like to look at the front end, and we don't judge either way. So
Exactly.
Create
So agents don't judge.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
New way of going about it. I'll say a survey bot. And we will create it here. Once we land with our survey bot, first thing we get to do is give it a prompt. So as you guys have very likely worked with GPT, you can ask it questions straight up, but if you really want it to provide you with the response that you want, you have to give it a little bit more exigence. And found a lot of different ways of making it more successful. Things like if you reference a user or if you reference a caller, is the user the agent, or is the user the person who's dialing in? Is the caller the one that's calling in or the one calling out? It can very easily be misconstrued in a couple ways. But we do have a guide specifically around that. Different tips and tricks and hours and hours and hours of us being frustrated with our AI overlords by the way that they interpret things. But that's all part of the art form. That's why prompt engineers are making like $500,000 at Netflix or something crazy like that. But we'll begin with this AI agent as just telling its name, telling it its job, and then we can use some markup language tricks to give it a little bit more instructions we found that giving it steps is incredibly like useful. That way it can really follow things along, and it's not gonna make up too much of the conversation. And we can see that sometimes we want these language models to be creative. If we're asking it to be like a trivia host, we kind of want it to be like pretty jovial, have a couple jokes in there. But if we're doing a survey for like the uh, consensus, and we would want the answers to be the questions asked to be very similar across everyone that is being called. Otherwise, our data wouldn't be very representative. Or if we have a doctor's office and we're calling about lab results, we don't want someone to be able to say, hey, tell me a joke, and then have the language model start telling jokes instead of trying to get them back on topic of making a new appointment or understanding what their lab results may be. So let's just go through here and kind of fine tune it to be a little bit more static in the way that we aren't using all of the functions that are capable in the blog post, because Shane goes above and beyond. So stay on focus on protocol. You're not capable of diagnosing problems. We're not going to use any functions quite yet. I think that maybe the next session that we have, maybe we'll do it kind of like all on functions, because they are really important, but always getting our agents to say the right thing. So we aren't using the database portion of this blog, so I'm going to cut this out. And let's just say step 1 is greet the user. We can just have it say that. We gather data about the caller so that we can record their answers. That's good. Ask them for their first name, ask them for their last name, their age. We're not going to use the function or the database portion, but you can kind of see why we would use functions. Something like if a caller was to call in to SIA, our support line, our internal support agent that is based off of AI, we would want her to understand that if I'm calling for the 5th time today, I don't want to have to re-explain every single thing that I had. Or we would want to be able to maybe pull up what support cases someone is calling about, rather than just asking them to tell us their first and their last name and their age and years for the 5th time. So let's just delete step 2.4. We don't have something returned, so I don't want to confuse it too much. Does anyone have like a funny question they want our poll to say, besides just the first and last name and years?
Oh, okay.
Who's more famous, Travis Kelce or Taylor Swift?
That's,
all right.
I think you should ask if it's
What?
pronounced GIF or GIF, and then we can finally get some real details on this.
I don't know how I would maybe finesse RG, like that can be interpreted so many ways.
Yeah.
50 Cent is in the room or not.
Yeah.
All right, it's not peanut butter. Get out of here. All right. Who is your favorite between Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, I guess? I don't know. I'll do more famous, even though this is going to be a weird question. Ask the caller. And maybe I'll do just some single quotes around this one so that they can say it more specifically. Yada, yada, yada. I'll just kind of delete this because that would be how we were logging it into our SQL database. How about I will add this back up into. I'll just tell it again to stay on focus and on protocol. I'll just tell it, do not make up your own questions. Cool. All right, tell it its job, give it a couple steps. Down here is how we can fine tune a couple of those parameters that I was mentioning, or I guess behaviors I was mentioning before. Thing like confidence. Confidence is basically going to be how likely we are to have false negatives in some of the things that they would hear. If someone says like Kelsey or Elsie, I don't know. I can't think of a good example right here, but I guess it would be more of the AI agent would be asking the user to maybe repeat themselves. I'm not quite sure if that is exactly what I was expecting you to say. If you're asking them who's more famous between these two and someone says Deadpool, then obviously they're going to want to ask a little bit more about that. Top P and temperature are kind of closely related, but they both are tied to how creative the models can be. I don't want to get too specific into the math and bore some people, but of it just the probability of the outcome that they would say a specific thing. We would kind of want to narrow this down a little bit if we want them to be very specific, kind of dry and repeat the same patterns over and over again. For instance, something like howdy versus hello versus hey, or different ways that you could maybe say that. And then, yeah, temperature, we'll just, I guess, kind of keep it right there. The post prompt is really, really, really useful, and I'm always shocked with how impressive it kind of can kick these things out. But it's, as you can assume, after the call, post call, post prompt, what are we going to take out of the conversation? And this is how we really add value to these AI agents, because although it's really fun to talk to a robot and ask them trivia questions or to tell you a story, there's not a whole lot of sustenance to that. But maybe after we have a doctor's office, call use case, we want to know if the caller wants to rebook an appointment. We want them to maybe tell us if they're taking their medication. In this example, we're obviously going to want to know the answers of the questions that we're asking them, because the most important part is the poll here. So I'll just say provide the Jeez. Everyone's watching me type. I get nervous over here. And let's have a little fun. Let's say present the information in a JSON object for JSON. All right. We're going to... What was that?
I said, thanks for thinking of me.
Oh, yeah, always am. We're going to want to know where, we're going to want to tell them where we want to send that information to. So we can make an HTTP request with the logs, the information on the call, transcripts, and maybe just overarching, sentiments or analysis based on what happened on the call. If we have CF, for example, we're probably going to want to know, like, was the customer upset or was the customer happy at the end of the call? And they can kind of use a lot of those contexts of what the words were, or even go down a sentiment analysis path. I will say, if you guys are writing these prompts, make sure to just save often. It can never hurt to save. Nothing's going to be worse than if you write a whole novel and then, your cookies refresh and all of a sudden you don't have your prompt anymore. That's ruined my day a couple times. Bunch of different languages. I only speak English because I'm not that well versed. But let's go female. We have a lot of different languages based off of 11 Labs. You'll notice a lot of the Amazon Poly voices or the Google ones that we've all heard so many times before. But the 11 Lab ones are pretty solid. Like they sound a lot more genuine, authentic. Fillers are a really cool kind of separation or difference of what we do at SignalWire over some other providers, and where we're really able to make an impact with this. Obviously, we see that like every single company and all of their cousins have AI included. But being a telecom company and having our roots in free switch and doing telecom for so long, we can kind of leverage that to our advantage. So fillers are one way to make the conversation more natural, to give the language model more time to kind of think and process what they're going to reply back to, without the caller feeling as though, hey, like, are you still there? Is this thing working? But we can just type in words like or good response. Who else has a good filler for me? Something like someone like mumble. Herm, maybe. We can see how that one works out. Affirmative, yeah. Let me think about that. That's a good one. That one's a lot of words too, so that's gonna be when I was giving something a large data sphere related use case. It's like, oh, let me look through my notes. I think I know what that is, and like that really long one was just a good way of keeping the conversation going while just asynchronously we're having big old machines doing big old calculations for us. If you do need to switch between languages, you can do that pretty on the fly. It really impresses me, and all the times that I've seen it happen. But if you're talking in English and then all of a sudden you start speaking in Spanish, it will understand that you're speaking in Spanish, and then it'll reply back to you in that way. So that's a nice, easy way to leverage when, maybe you're a US-based company, but you have a lot of overseas customers. If I were to listen to an IVR that was in German, I'd be like, what are you talking about, dude? And that way we can at least keep a good company image and not just, let's get what I'm saying here. Functions, I kind of touched on them a little bit, and think that maybe we can later circle back to some of the specific use cases that you guys have in here and maybe how functions can play along. But call them swag functions or swag, the SignalWire AI gateway, where we basically just have a gateway of information flowing in and out. I'm going to enable logs here. And lastly, I'm going to add one of my favorites. One of the best features that I really like about, what we're doing with the AI agents is the background noise. So I'm going to steal a background noise that I used for
Chip the Chipotle candy.
Yeah, I didn't get a job at Chipotle when I was like 16, so I made this guy to ask me the interview questions as though I was getting interviewed at Chipotle.
Oh, cool.
And then just providing different overviews of what positions maybe they needed or things of that nature. But if you have a publicly hosted MP3 or WAV file, you can throw that in. And let me go back to a survey bot and throw this in. All right, we are just about at it. Oh yeah, last nice little feature, time zone. So when you say greet the user, if I'm in the UK and you call me and you say, good morning, sir, but it's really the evening, I'd be like, dude, you don't even know who I am. You don't care about me, company that I'm talking to. You're based somewhere way different.
Absolutely.
Let's see.
Dead on accurate.
Do we have Arizona time here? Nice. We'll represent Zona a little bit. All right, so that was one of the few ways that we can create an AI agent. As you can see, who walks you and guides you through the entire thing. We could have made this as simple with our prompt as just saying like, say hello and be my friend. And it would go about it in weird ways. And, you can kind of play along with how some of that happens. But as we work through the entire prompt, and we're now going to associate this AI agent to a phone number, and you can purchase toll-free numbers, PSTN numbers. We can connect this to SIP. I'm actually here. A survey bot. There we go. Sorry, it's a overwhelming stack of every single company that I've worked with. And then I think we're good. I'm gonna make sure that's saved. All right. Click on our number. We have a survey bot here. And I'm gonna call it on my cell phone.
Hello, I'm SurveyBot. I'm here to gather some information from you. To start, could you please tell me your first name?
My first name is Jason.
Thank you, Jason. Now, could you please tell me your last name?
Yeah, my last name is SignalWire.
Thank you, Jason SignalWire. Now, could you please tell me your age in years?
I am 107, but I look like I'm 108.
Thank you for sharing that. Now, who is more famous between Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce?
Oh, that's a really tough question. I'm really not too sure. They both have so many great things that they provide, but
I understand. It can be a tough choice. If you had to pick one, who would you say is more famous?
all right. Well, if I absolutely have to pick one, I guess I'll go with Travis Kelce.
Thank you for your answer. Jason, do you think Travis Kelce is more famous? I appreciate your participation in this survey. If you have any other thoughts or questions, feel free to share.
No, that was awesome. Thank you so much.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. Jason, if there's nothing else, I want to thank you for your time today. Have a great day.
I feel very exposed right now.
That was very nice.
Thank you.
She was very kind of polite. But even little things like she hung up on me, but she knew when. She didn't do it out of pocket, but things like executing those voice just methods like hanging up the phone or doing transfers, sending SMS messages. We can kind of incorporate a lot of those into our AI agents very, very seamlessly. Whereas, if we were to build a language model and then to have to stream and then have to worry about what text to speech and then have to worry about what speech to text and then what avenues that we're even able to transfer that much information over HTTP requests in order to make a phone call then bounce back. There's so many moving parts, and each time you kind of look at it deeper, you realize like how incredible some of these things are. But this, oh, I'm sharing the wrong tab. Sorry, I'm on other monitor. So we have the log saved in the SignalWire dashboard, but I wanted to show you what would happen if we were to have our own server. You know, let's say you have a server with a SQL database like was there before, or maybe you want to post these to a website of, you know, some nature, but kind of making it unique, adding your own business logic to some of these. And I've been rambling for like a half hour here, so I will start getting this over here. But even things like how confident they were of some of these. Yeah, exactly. You could Zapier a lot of this. Now I want to see how they did the post prompt. So post prompt data, nice. So I asked them for a JSON response, and then they provided it. Nice. And making it really narrowing down on what the answer is and kind of what we wanted out of it. I was just testing it to see how you know, big of a jerk I could kind of be by rambling on with some of this. But yeah, you can kind of see that there was a little bit of background noise if you guys did hear, but you can always find things that are a little bit more appropriate to what it is that you want to create. Yeah. Any thoughts? Is there a use case that maybe someone else wants to run through, or just general questions on what it is we got going on here? Not everybody at once, please.
Do
Don't
you
overwhelm
want
me.
to go through the pre-submitted question?
Yeah. Copy and paste it in there for me.
I will. I certainly will. Here's the first one.
Sweet. Is it possible to have an AI agent guide the user through a multi-step task while helping them brainstorm? Example, help a student select an idea for the project, then select a title for the project, and finally write a description for their project. Definitely. How we want the outcome of it to all look is definitely kind of the art of the prompt, and we can let's test this out. Like let's play around with it. As you'll be creating and designing these, you'll realize that in order to get about 3/4 of the way, you know, like 80% of the way there, maybe 90% of the way there, you can do it in a matter of minutes. If I wasn't talking so long, it probably would have been like 5. But getting it to really be to not hallucinate a lot of those responses, or you know, to kind of cater along the flow, and you'll kind of notice a couple of the things that maybe you say that are kind of weird, or you know, wouldn't make sense to someone else. That those would confuse the agents, but really just being specific. Brian West, who's fantastic at creating these, explained it really well one time, where he said, pretend as though it's someone's first day on the job, and you have to explain to them, you know, specifically like every detail that you want them to have to know. Here we can I want to drop it just blatantly like this, but we probably like really could. Here, let's do this.
Make an AI agent guide the, like, just literally say it as clear as that.
Let's see how lazy I can get here. Lazy student, how about that? Not lazy Susan, don't worry. Lazy student. I asked it one time to repeat just every number of pi. Well, like just keep on telling me numbers of pi, and it just kept on going. It was a really long conversation. It was awesome. I was like, wow, look at this guy go. All right. I'll just say you are an AI agent. And yeah, this is pretty. I'll change that to a period. I don't know if EG is something that they know, but that's exactly just one of those things that, you know, over trial and error, listening to your own agents, not really eating your own dog food, but more of drinking your own champagne as you building these bougie systems over here. And post prompt, I'll just do logs here. Let's see what we got going on. Do English just because it's most of them. Anyone have a preference? Oh, I guess you can't see these. Male, female, female child, or male child.
I think in the circumstance of it being a tutoring session, I think it should be a female voice.
Nice. Women are a lot smarter. My Chrome is tricky here. Charlotte, Dami, Eli, or Ellie, I guess. Emily sounds like she knows what she's doing here. She sounds smart. I'm not even gonna give her fillers just because. Let's see how well she does just off the bat. So we have our prompt. We don't really care about a post prompt to some extent, but maybe at the end of it, we wanted to like text the caller all of the things that we discussed and to make their life a little bit easier, or to do the entire project and send it as a text. Oh, a kickball. That's when I added my entire kickball league rules into one because I was sick of. I was like, I know the rule over here. All right, let's call this guy.
Hello. How can I assist you today?
I have a big school project to do, and I just don't even know where to start.
No problem. Let's break it down together. What subject is your project for?
The subject is Taylor Swift.
Great choice. Are you thinking about focusing on her music, her impact on pop culture, or maybe her personal life?
I think all the above are just incredibly intriguing to me.
Awesome. Since you find all those aspects intriguing, we could create a project that covers her music, impact on pop culture, and personal life. Would you like to start by brainstorming a title for your project?
Yeah, what do you think a good title for that would be? You know, we got so many different things I'm planning on talking about for Taylor Swift.
How about something like Taylor Swift, the soundtrack of a generation?
Oh my god. That's so funny. Yeah.
Great.
That sounds good.
Great. Now that we have a title, let's work on a description for your project. Would you like to highlight her music, cultural impact, or personal life first in the description?
I want to know about her personal life. What's up with her boyfriend?
Perfect. I can help you with that. In your project description, You could mention her relationships and how they have influenced her music and public persona. Would you like to include specific details about her current boyfriend or focus more on her past relationships?
Oh, we have to only focus on the current one. I don't want to be reminded of the past.
Understood. You can mention her current boyfriend and how their relationship has been portrayed in the media. Would you like to include how this relationship has influenced?
All right, we understand. At least a little bit there. You put a limiter that makes it ask more open-ended questions.
So basically, what I
Yeah.
like, one thing you can notice is as you're interacting with it, it's very easy to get it to say what you want or like give you ideas. But I feel like if it was better at pulling creativity out of a person, that would be like yet even more value. So instead of it being like, I don't know what to do, give me suggestions, it's its answer is, okay, what do you like? Who are you? And then it's sort of like a half, you don't want it to be a therapist, but at least it's built more off of ideas that came from the human rather than ideas generated from the agent. Though it is amazing that it can do both.
Yeah, definitely. And here obviously we didn't really give it a whole lot of instructions to do it. And yeah, exactly that, where it says while helping them brainstorm, where really it was kind of her just interrogating and asking. Um, yeah, so we have 15 minutes. So if there are other people who have questions, um, I think this is helpful and important to see just like the process of writing these and how you can think that, oh, if you're saying that you'll help them brainstorm, um, who is them? I guess uh, user could be either way that you're kind of looking at it. So throw this in here. Brian uses a good metaphor of saying, John went to the dentist and he got his teeth pulled, where to us we would be like, oh yeah, John got his teeth pulled, but to a computer, the dentist might have gotten his teeth pulled. It's kind of open-ended in that. All right, does someone else want to play? Oh, uh,
Sorry, there was a secondary question.
oh yeah.
On.
If you'd like me to go in further detail, I'm not crazy familiar with them. I have dabbled. I don't know a lot of the specifics, but I think that yeah, exactly. DataSphere is going to be awesome. Vectorizing those databases is like a huge challenge. Kind of balancing between um, you know giving it enough information, to be able to execute the things well enough, but then also giving it only the information it needs so it can still be as fast as it wants. But I would say our real difference are just SignalWire doesn't just offer this one product. As Anthony Minnesali would say, we are the entire breakfast, where this is just one small piece of a very large pie, where you can incorporate so many of those other uh, products or communication methods very seamlessly. I didn't get into texting or SMS or some of the built-in functions that we have on the other ones. I guess I could go over that a little bit, but little things like filler, background noise, some soon. Did I say soon? With going over the functions, my mouth is like a waterfall
With
or
when
DataSphere.
DataSphere will be available. It's already partially available, but they're continuing to add additional features and functionality with it. And I think I can't give you a specific times, but it will be soon. I wish I could give a better answer than that, but it's on the horizon.
Am I able to put Mark on the spot if he has any additional comments, or did Jason kill? Did he kill it there?
So data sphere is coming. There's a few improvements we want to make. We've gotten it up and running. One of the big things that we need to improve is the ability to upload and manage documents. So one thing we're going to do before we really put it into production and start hawking it is to add a management interface in the web so that you can upload and download and basically remove just all the management stuff that you would do with documents for your agents. Because in this case, we were talking about just one thing, like for example, a friendly bartender, and you just put in one document. Let's say you have hundreds of documents that you want to add. How would you manage all of it via an API? It would be good for engineers and developers, but not so good for users.
Oh, you're muted.
I was trying to just pull up my kickball guy. I think it's a Swiml script though, instead of an AI agent. Let's see.
Yeah, one of the things you want to show them, because maybe they haven't seen this, John, is the Swiml editor now.
Oh yeah, I like that one. Oh, cool. This is my favorite example of using the AI agent for multiple reasons. But yeah, dark mode, full screen. Now it actually looks like what an editor would look like. If someone could give me the assist on the Santa AI in the room chat, but you do have to throw in a token over here. Don't steal mine, although I'm probably sharing it somewhere here already. And if you just enter in your key there for Rapid API, it's basically just a way that you can execute HTTP requests, and they have integrations with an Amazon API that will do a lookup of different gifts or items, and then Amazon will return that back, and then we are able to kind of see, we can act as though we're Santa Claus, and we can ask the children or the adults in the room what they want for Christmas. This also is all serverless, so this is hosted 100% like on SignalWire. I guess the one API stuff they deal with over there, but what is awesome about this is that we're able to use the Swag gateway, our AI gateway, without having our own server that we're having just so many different moving pieces with. For instance, with like the doctor's office example, they probably have a platform and a database that they are feeding that information about the lab results back into SignalWire. So they would have to have, a database there. But being able to execute this, being able to talk to the outside world and kind of get updated information, as you could kind of hear, the AI agent I don't think she knew that Travis Kelce was the current boyfriend, but maybe she did, and she was just trying to get us to brainstorm harder. But things, I could get so deep into this, but like data map, where we're able to, set global or just like present variables, or maybe we are taking in sensitive information like someone's phone number or social security number. If you feed that back to OpenAI, oh man, you're done for. But what we could do is, mask that and say, this is a variable that represents what a social security number would be. And that way, when, we're sending things to different models, they're not just constantly taking in sensitive information. They are just being able to do the thing that they do best of, generating content and saving your privacy. But
one further point I want to make on the editor that you see. This is a new feature that's now in production. The second part of that is that the next step is really SwimmL validation. So essentially, if you write some code and you don't really know what it's doing, and you'll be told what it is. We will validate the code. That's for an upcoming release.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did it.
That's great.
As though anyone's ever built, a whole JSON object and not missed one comma or parentheses.
Exactly.
I don't know if this one still works, but I guess we could try. I don't know if there's a phone number hooked up to the blog here. I can associate mine, but people were asking it just weird things, so I think we had to take it down for a little bit.
Oh no.
I saw some pretty foul. Oh yeah, here we go.
We can't have nice things.
Towards the bottom of that blog. And you guys can check that out. Line numbers is huge, yeah. Instead of talking to Santa for 5 minutes, if you guys want to do that, you totally can. I just wanted to open up the table one more time if anyone did have any questions, or if you can't.
John?
Yeah, what's up?
John, this is Jack Kozik. So could you summarize again which large language models you're building upon? At ClueCon, I heard Lucas say Mistral. And I heard you talking about OpenAI. And I figured there's a whole range of things going on in the background.
Mm-hmm.
What are we predominantly writing our prompts against?
It really depends on your use case and what you are needing from it. So if you have HIPAA regulations and you need to have your own private deployment of some of this stuff, we can always do that. I know that we've been teasing and playing and trying to fine tune a lot of them specifically. I don't know if Evan, you're able to know what off the bat language model people have, or if it is still just kind of cycling around as we continue.
Are you just using the model of the day? So it's one day it's Llama 3 and another day it's Mistral and another
man, every day you get a new model. That comes out. It's ridiculous.
I'm with you. I just wanted to know what your approach was.
Yeah.
And if you'd fallen upon a best practice. Pick one, run a set of tests against it, do your thing. Pick another. Oh, you're pointing at someone. Oh, someone's being silent. Okay, someone's being silent. Okay.
I have to defer to product on this one. So, Mark, why don't you go ahead?
Yeah, so the model of the day is not what we are doing explicitly. And the fact is that we've tried many different, and we constantly are trying many different models. So, for example, the last one that we tried was Gemini 1.5, which is Google's thing. There are things that we do and things that our AI agent actually does with in the background, where we need, for example, to tell it something in the middle of a conversation, which you cannot do with any other of the models. So we are focused right now on building with OpenAI, but we continue to look at all the other models that are out there. Another word to keep track of, what the latest developments are, and then try it. Tony and Brian are very aggressive about doing that to make sure that, we are building or providing the best experience for you and other customers that need to do development and you want the most accurate and the best sounding stuff.
Okay, I understand. So, do you have any corporate customers or any compelling use cases that have driven you toward OpenAI? Other than you
there's a
just went down the
technical-
list and you like them the best.
We
Yeah,
tried
so-
all of them, literally all of them.
Okay.
And
Okay.
one thing we do internally, we built like a support tool that essentially, if you give it a prompt, it'll generate SWML. If you give it SWML, it'll generate the prompt. And basically, we've used that for tuning and then comparison purposes. For example, what the last one we did was, full on doing Gemini 1.5, and it was not bad, but it was 70% of the accuracy of what we currently get with OpenAI. So instead of having hallucinations and false positives and generally non-responsive prompts, and the inability to actually tell it something in the middle of a session, we just basically said, okay, we give up. We'll wait until they start adding, the midstream stuff, and the accuracy improves on the model.
Okay,
So
that's
we do that
interesting.
for all of them. Like an example is that we've used DeepGram, we've used DeepMind, we've used Gemini. In fact, we did a project with Google on Gemini. That's how we know that so well. So long story short, we're not resting on our laurels, and we're not taking OpenAI's word for it. We're doing the work and testing it ourselves based on, what we have in terms of known good responses.
Okay. By chance, are you attending the Enterprise Connect conference in the September, October, or beginning of October?
I don't think we have any current plan to do that, but we can certainly arrange.
I asked because the agenda in that conference is corporate. Different corporations are presenting their strategy on how they're applying large language models to their business. And so I figured that's, for me, it's going to be an educational a venue to learn how others are applying it. They did the same thing in March in Orlando, and different companies got up and says, "Here's why we're using OpenAI."
We were there for the Orlando one.
Oh, so you saw that?
Yeah,
Okay,
so
you
that's
saw
We were
that.
there for
Okay.
that one. We're just not necessarily sure about if there's one happening in the second half of the year.
Oh yeah, in Santa Clara or whatever. Yeah. Yeah, they got so much. They got such a good response from the March one that they scheduled an interim meeting on the West Coast just
Yeah,
focused
we were
on
there.
AI.
Yes.
So
You did hear Abby.
the
Loud voice.
other thing to keep in mind is that the value of our AI agent is not so much that it uses OpenAI. OpenAI is a language model. There's something like 30,000 lines of code behind all this mechanically, and the goal is to anyone can just go to OpenAI and use sign up for an account and do all that stuff. But what we've done is make onboarding very easy, the connection to things that you want to do, the development environment, all the other resources and subscribers that we have, the things that are in our platform. We make it so much easier to develop an AI agent or something that uses AI. That's what the value is. The value proposition is not so much OpenAI versus Google Gemini, but how do you actually take an AI-based product to market?
Thank you.
So with that being said, the other thing I would tell you is that we have very active development in it. We're going to do way more than what you see here. Our plans are pretty much, we have lots of development and plans going onwards till the end of the year at a minimum to improve things. Like one of the things we're going to do is make it easier to do integrations. The other thing is for more advanced cases, that we have a call flow builder. We're going to do something similar to with AI agent. So we'll have an AI agent builder. So not just the forms-based thing for simpler use cases. But if you need to make something really extreme, you'll be able to do it, and then plug it into Call Fabric and make that a resource on it, so that your subscribers and other resources can take advantage of it.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Yeah, avatars as well. If you follow Tony on LinkedIn, you can see his funny stuff that he's been doing, and also just pre-drafting some prompts towards specific characters or employees or use cases that you may have. I believe all those are just trying to make it a lot more accessible. For some of that.
In my humble opinion, it's unique in the market. In my humble opinion.
We believe so too.
Very
And
good.
definitely just the small lengths that it takes in order to make something so incredible. But yeah, we're just at about time, so definitely keep on the lookout for the next one that we have. Otherwise, you can always fill out support requests. Our support team is fantastic. They play with this stuff all the time. If you need to talk to sales or solutions or any one of us, definitely do not hesitate to reach out. Otherwise, we'll have some follow-up resources coming out as